The federal trial of a Tonawanda man got underway this week. The question at hand, did Steve Jabar pocket hundreds of thousands of dollars from the United Nations, or was he the target of the Bush administration? News 4's Dave Graber has the latest on this long-standing case.
And Alina, this case spans all the way back to a 2008 federal indictment against Steve Jabar. But the U.S. government says the fraud against the UN actually began 2 years prior to that. Steve Jabar, or as he was known when we interviewed him back in 2004, Steve Sharif, is a native of Baghdad who moved to the town of Tonawanda in the 1990s and became a U.S. citizen.
They are willing to work with the Americans. They are willing to protect Americans.
And though he was outspoken about the Iraq war,
more soldiers will get killed and more innocent Iraqis will die.
He said he realized the mission of U.S. troops and even at times worked as a contractor.
You need definitely people on the ground. You need to keep building bridges with the Iraqis, and there are good Iraqis there.
Within months of Jabar sitting down with News 4, federal authorities said he was stealing tens of thousands of dollars from the United Nations. The indictment, which dates back to 2008, says Deborah Bowers and Jabar started a nonprofit called Opportunity for Kids International. And through that organization, they solicited the United Nations to help fund a radio station in Iraq, which would promote democracy and women's rights. The government says the UN promised Jabar through OKI $500,000 and paid $350,000 of it up front. But instead of using the money on the radio station, the government alleges Jabar and Ms. Bowers used it to pay personal expenses, pay back loans, pay their taxes, or pocket the rest. The radio station continues to operate today. Attorneys for Jabar argue their client was the target of the Bush administration for his outspoken stance against the war. At one point, he was even placed on a terrorist watch list. Now, some very high-level military officials will be in town and are expected to testify in this case, including Lieutenant General John Gardner, Colonel Wes Martin, Colonel William Ivey, and Major General William Brandenburg. Now, each is retired, and each is expected to testify on behalf of Steve Jabar that no crime was ever committed. We'll be continuing to follow this story both on air and on our website, WIVB.com. Reporting live in the studio, Dave Graber, News 4 at 5:30.